when you allow great leadership
Hmm.
to inform analytics, to allow it to bring prowess to analytics, and when you allow analytics to start to inform leadership,
Hmm.
and you've got this clarity of attributes over here, because everybody knows there's already clarity on
Hmm.
the output side,
Yeah,
right? You may
what we're
not
trying to
know the
achieve. Yeah.
specifics, but you definitely
Yeah.
know what you're trying to achieve from an attribute perspective. These two things together create the greater good of
Yeah.
leadership analytics. It's why we're together today, which is the third story, which is leadership to business impact analytics. It creates this virtuous cycle of analytics informing leadership, leadership informing analytics, for the greater good of all people, all businesses, all communities.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Absolutely. And
That's the big roar.
yeah, that's the kind of that's come, yeah, that's part of the big roar unpacking. But even in terms of, for the greater good, you know, we we tend to get probably sometimes too clinical, right? When we talk about this, we say analytics, and it kind of ties to outcomes in a very predictive, prescriptive manner. There's a science behind this. You need to know what attributes you put in. But I think if you were to just ignore all those mechanics for a second, right? And
Mm-hmm.
to me, for the greater good also signals this is that if you were to remove all those things and just operated from a place of intuition,
Mm-hmm.
all this makes sense even in that context, right?
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, if we were to do this well, if we were to look at that, all the journey from intent to implement through those four steps, and stay on the IPO highway with the right inputs, the right process, and connected to the right outcomes, what that means is that leadership development and focusing on the right things of leadership development to drive sustainable growth
Mm-hmm.
should be a fun and easy activity. You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying, Reg? And it seems like a chore, when we talk about this, and when you listen to people or you read literature, at least from my perspective, even in my own leadership journey, it just feels like it's a chore, and it doesn't have to be,
It
right?
doesn't it doesn't have to be. And maybe that's another also message around for the greater good, and
Yeah.
a sign of renewal. It just doesn't have to be, because this third piece about leadership to business impact analytics, the third piece of the renewal story, is just a simple one. It's a positive affirmation around, you can get it,
Yeah.
right? And you can own it, right? You can get both of these things.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
And
Yep.
you
And
can
it's
get
easier
it.
than you think it is.
It's easier than you think it is.
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, you can actually own it. You don't have to be, how would you say that? You don't have to be at the, help me with my words here. You don't have to have someone else do it for you.
Right.
You don't have to hire an organization and
Yeah.
spend a lot
You
of
don't need to
money.
outsource it. Yeah.
You don't need to outsource it. These are things that you can actually own and build over time. And that's the third part of it. It's, you can leverage it. You can
Yeah.
get it, you can
Yeah.
own it, and you can leverage it. And it's the
Yeah.
third piece of the great story of the renewed story about leadership analytics, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.